Zeke Stane, also known as Zeke Stane, has been affiliated with the Hellfire Club. His notable aliases include Ironmonger and Iron Man 2.0. His abilities include a genius-level intellect and superhuman abilities derived from bio-upgrades. Zeke Stane is the son of Obadiah Stane, and has been building bioweaponry and manufacturing next-generation weapons for terrorists and supercriminals since he was 9.
Though he is the son of Obadiah, as well as a supercriminal rather than hero, Zeke Stane can be considered by some to be the next generation of Tony Stark Iron Man, rather than of Obadiah Stane Ironmonger, often referring to him as Tony Stark Iron Man 2.0. The similarities between the pair's characteristics, with Ezekiel being an evolution of Tony Stark, a younger, smarter, sharper futurist of a post-national super-corporate world, moving into a future that Stark has no control over.
Overtaking Stark and his Iron Man technology by not taking the route of armored suits, but upgrading the human body itself. No matter how high-tech or evolved, even with Jarvis and Extremis, the Iron Man armor is still a guy in a suit. If you get between the man and the suit, you can undo it.
So Stane doesn't need a suit. That's the difference. That's what we start to see. The future of Iron Man is that there's no gap between Iron and Man. It's one being, and Stane is quite literally evolving himself. Zeke is a post-national businessman and kind of an open-source ideological terrorist. He has absolutely no loyalty to any sort of law, creed, or credo.
He doesn't want to beat Tony Stark. He wants to make him obsolete. Windows wants to be on every computer desktop in the world, but Linux, like Stane, wants to destroy the desktop. He's the open source to Stark's closed source oppressiveness. He has no headquarters, no base, and no bank account. He's a true ghost in the machine, completely off the grid, flexible, and mobile.
That absolutely flies in the face of Tony's received business wisdom and in the way business is done. There are banks and lawyers, and you have facilities and testing. Stane is a much more different animal. He's a much smarter, more mobile, and much more quick to respond and evolved futurist.
Zeke Stane is the son of Obadiah Stane, who was revealed to be the behind-the-scenes manipulator pulling the strings of other criminals, including Black Dahlias, Maul, and Man from Shadow Androids, who have set out to destroy the Order. The Order being Tony Stark's Showcase Initiative team of California. Zeke targets them as the first part of his revenge on Tony Stark for the death of his father, Obadiah.
Stane meets Iron Man face-to-face for the first time ever. Due to Stane's life off the grid, Iron Man fails to realize who he actually is. Despite Stark's resources, Stane leaves California and prepares for the next stage in his vendetta against Stark. Zeke is later seen attending a meeting with the board of directors of a big tobacco company who had hired him to tweak their tobacco to produce a higher basal metabolic rate in the people that smoked it.
Stane says he succeeded in doing it, but reveals he only took the job to use the tobacco company's money to create bio-upgrades for himself, upgrading his own hypothalamus to utilize energy within the body, which Stane swiftly uses to execute the board of directors with energy blasts from his fingertips.
Stane is later updated by his girlfriend, Assistant Sasha Hammer, on his upgraded African suicide bombers who were the test subjects of Stane's biotechnology. The attacks from Stane's suicide bombers were something neither Iron Man nor War Machine could have predicted.
Stane meets Stark a second time during a party moments before suicide bombers appeared and self-destructed. Stark was able to summon his Iron Man armor while Stane just stood there with a disturbing smile. The explosion also severely injured Pepper Potts in the process.
Stane ultimately confronts Stark with his own unique armor, while also using terrorists armed with his technology to attack sites around the world. However, Stark defeated Stane's plan with control of all his various Army Man armors, allowing him to be in multiple locations and eliminate virtually all of Stane's bombs at once.
Stark then disables both of their armors with a massive electromagnetic pulse and defeats the younger man in hand-to-hand combat. Stark delivers the final emotional blow to the defeated Stane by telling him that Obadiah was smarter than him and harder to beat.
However, Stark is left disturbed by Stane's attack, particularly with the notion of what he may have to become in order to face the future Stane represents. Zeke Stane had been visited a few times in his prison sentence and was paroled by the Mandarin, Sasha Hammer's father, to now employ Zeke, with Tony Stark being informed after the fact.
Later, Zeke used a photo of the Iron Man armor at the Daily Bugle to make it look like the hero was drunk. Also, Zeke planned along with the Mandarin to use classic criminals of the Armored Avenger against him, such as Camistro, Living Laser, and Mauler.
Mandarin became increasingly discontent when Stane could not build dreadnoughts and titanomechs on impossible schedules and non-existent budgets. He started affecting Stane with his ring, making him obsessed with the work.
Irked by this, Stane managed to remove his bomb implant and face off against Mandarin. However, Mandarin cranked up the ring's effect, making Stane his slave, causing increased brain damage in the process.
After the Mandarin succeeded in bringing Stark under his control, Tony and Zeke worked together to produce the Titanomechs. After Mandarin used 3 of his rings to power the first Titanomech, Tony started a plan with Zeke where they convinced supercriminals Whirlwind, Blizzard II, and Living Laser to join him in a rebellion with the final purpose of defeating Mandarin, and managed to use the technology in his body to help Resilient find him using microbots known as the Swarm, a mist of atomic-scaled picoprocessors powered by a repulsor internet that linked all repulsor technology around the world, which tracked the repulsor tech of Tony's body.
Resilient asked for help to the Triumph Division and the Dynasty to help Tony defeat Mandarin and his Titanomech. After Tim Kababa managed to reactivate the extremist virus inside Stark's body, Tony created a link with the Swarm and used them as bombs to destroy Mandarin's weapons, who in the end was killed by Stane.
Later, Zeke Stane represented Stane International when he attended a meeting at the Universal Bank with Tiberius Stone of Alchemax, Wilson Fisk of Fisk Industries, Sebastian Shaw of Shaw Industries, Darian Cross of Cross Technological Enterprises, Shingen Harada of the Yoshida Corporation, Fredox of Shiar Solutions Consolidated, and Wilhelming Kensington of Kilgore Arms, where they discussed with Dario Agar about his and Roxxon Energy Corporation's plans to exploit the 10 realms of Asgard. Stane also saw the arrival of Exterminatrix of the Midas Foundation, who knocked out Dario and declared herself a new member of their assembly. He is also revealed to be the financial backer of a rebellion against T'Challa and Wakanda.
Zeke Stane's genius-level intellect and considerable fortune has allowed him to cannibalize and reverse-engineer Stark tech from the black market to upgrade his own biology, most notably his hypothalamus. Stane successfully reduced the caloric energy consumption of his body from 70% to 9%, leaving him a surplus energy which he uses in repulsor bolts at the end of his fingers. Other upgrades have allowed his body to vastly repair itself from injury.
Despite his high intelligence, Reed Richards claims that Stane is imitative rather than innovative, as all his inventions are merely repurposed Stark tech, rather than anything he developed completely on his own. Reed uses the example that the man who invented the sandwich simply put together what already existed to produce something good, rather than developing his own idea, a fault which Iron Man exploits to ultimately defeat him.
This excessive use of the body's energy has shown that Stane must constantly keep his body's blood sugar level high to make up for its rapid consumption. Stane does this by eating a high, 20,000 calorie paste.